Okay.
So I guess this is a little uncharted. Do we hang?
Miss Commissioner Legina McKnight is coming on now.
How many short were we of a quorum?
We need 5.
We need 5 and we have 1, 2, 3
Okay. Is that with Ms. McKnight or without?
without.
Okay, so now you have 4.
Yes.
And then we'll have Commissioner Atkins as well.
Yes, sir.
And I've also sent the Zoom link to Commissioner Levitt.
So yes, we will just hold Vice Chair Miller until we have a quorum, until we can proceed with the meeting.
Okay, great.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for sending that to me again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Miller?
Commissioner McKnight, are you logged in twice? Commissioner Legina McKnight, are you logged in twice?
Hey there. Oop. Well, I was. Yes, I was. So I was on my phone and I just logged into my computer. So,
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that you didn't share your link
so
to
now it's just my
someone.
computer. Okay.
Okay, so we still don't have a quorum. Okay, thank you.
But wait a minute. Now I can't hear you. Let me check something out. Hey, Kimberly, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I just want to test out my audio. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, everyone. This is Vice Chair Miller. I think we'd like to give it just a few more minutes to see if we can get one more person to log on from the Planning and Zoning Commission so that we have a quorum before we cancel the meeting.
Hey, guys, just quick question. I mean, if we do have to cancel this meeting, what happens? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I believe Director Smith would be able to better answer that question. Simply because this is a special regular meeting, so we do have the work session as well as the two cases we have to hear. Which one of them is yours. So whenever she's available, I do think she's gonna come on here and speak to that.
If if we're unable to get a quorum, these cases will have to be re-advertised, the ones that were up for action. And we would have to push them to either another special call meeting or a next regular meeting, but we would have to re-advertise.
So that would be what, another month or so? Is that right, Ms. Smith?
Yes, Commissioner Fields is coming in now.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question. He's joining now. He should be on. Vice Chairman, would you like for staff to call roll?
Yes, please.
Commissioner Atkins. Commissioner Miller,
Present.
Commissioner Lovett, Commissioner Mark Fields, Commissioner Mark Fields, Commissioner Fan, Commissioner Presley,
Here.
Commissioner McKnight,
Here.
Commissioner Bryant,
He's muted.
Commissioner Bryant, Commissioner Joseph Fields,
Here.
I have a quick question about the attendance. Commissioner Fields was present the first time I called roll attendance, but the second time he was not.
That's Mark Fields. I
Yes,
can see that he's here, but he needs to say present.
Can anyone, maybe he probably stepped away in the break. Can anyone just give him a call real quick to tell him to come back to his computer?
Will do.
thank you.
So we have Mark and we have a quorum.
Correct.
Oh, it's today.
Still no luck with Mr. Fields?
No answer.
Hey, sorry, I missed your call. Sorry about that.
He's present.
I am present, sorry.
Taylor, can you recall the roll
Yes. I
quickly?
can.
Thank you.
No problem. Commissioner Atkins, Commissioner Miller,
Present.
Commissioner Lovett, Commissioner Mark Fields,
Present,
Commissioner Fan, Commissioner Presley,
Here.
Commissioner McKnight,
Here.
Commissioner Bryant, Commissioner Fields,
Here.
Mr. Vice Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. At the present time, I'd like for you all to join me in a moment of silence. Thank you very much. We're called together for a special call meeting to discuss case number 2022V-001-03. Commissioners, at this time, I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner McKnight, seconded by Commissioner Fields, that we adopt the special call meeting agenda. All in favor, sound aye.
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 All opposed, sound nay. The meeting agenda has been adopted as presented. Commissioners, at this time, I would entertain a motion to, no, excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm skipping down. Our next agenda item is considered under new business. It's case numbers 2022V-001-03.
Vice Chairman Miller,
Yes,
would you like to adopt the minutes from last month's meeting?
the reason that I didn't do that is because this is a special call meeting. We would do that at the regular meeting, correct?
We're following the agenda as it's written, sir. I'm going to post the agenda.
Okay,
You can follow the agenda as it is listed, sir. And you've just done a moment of silence. The Planning Commission has adopted the agenda as it's written. And the next item, number 4, under call to order, is approval of the April 21st meeting minutes. So that would be the next item.
okay, great, thank you. So commissioners, at this time, I would entertain a motion for approval of the April 21st meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve the April 21st meeting minutes.
Is there a second?
I second that motion.
Vice Chairman Miller, I would like to state that Commissioner Lovett has just joined the meeting for the record.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's been moved by Commissioner Fields and seconded by Commissioner. I'm sorry, sir, what's your last name?
Presley, kind of like Elvis, spelled different.
Sorry about that, man. Sorry about that. It's been moved by
No, it's
Commissioner
fine.
Fields and seconded by Commissioner Presley that we adopt, and excuse me, that we approve the April 21st meeting minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. It has been approved. So next on the agenda is old business. I don't know that we have any old business. So I think the next item would be new business. So bear with me a second. Our next agenda item is under new business. It's case number 2022-2, as an umbrella -002-01. Staff, would you please sound the agenda item?
Yes, Vice Chairman, this is a discussion item, but I will move forward under new business. Case number 2022-U-002-01. The applicant is Scott Tremmel. The location is 1669 Neely Avenue. The applicant seeks a special use permit to convert a garage into a livable loft area. The case type is a special use permit, and this is a discussion for discussion only. No action will be taken this evening.
Okay, thank you. This agenda does require a public hearing. I will read our rules of public hearing.
Mr. Vice Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but because it is, we've got like a combo happening here, this work session item would not need a public hearing. We would do that when it comes on for vote at our next regular meeting. This one is just discussion. The only ones that are going to need your public hearing are 4 and 5.
Okay. So now I think the next step is to have the applicant step forward and give his name and his address and speak, correct?
Yes,
Correct.
sir.
Mr. Scott,
Good evening.
are you available?
Yes, I'm here. My name is Scott Tremmel. My home is 1669 Neely Avenue in East Point. And I'm actually looking to convert my garage into a livable space for my mom. She's going to need further care. She's aging and she's been basically priced out of the real estate market in Atlanta. And it's kind of our last resort. So this isn't for a rental or Airbnb or anything like that. This is a home for my mom, so we can have her here and take care of her.
Okay, so do you have any materials you'd like to share? Any kind of drawing?
We actually when I applied for all this, I submitted all of the drawings and PDF files from the engineer as far as what it looks like and all that. I don't know how to share that on a computer.
You
have access to that?
We do have information in reference to this case. Are you able to see the screen? Is it still on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna stop sharing and reshare.
Ms. Smith, can I ask you to have somebody send Sean Atkins a new link where he can log on?
He is joining the meeting now, sir.
Okay, great.
Okay, so in reference to this case number, property located at 1669 Neely Avenue, a special use permit for applicant Scott Tremmel. The property is zoned urban residential, which is R1A in our zoning ordinance, and the request is for a special use permit to convert a garage into a livable loft area. As Mr. Tremmel has stated, it is for his parent. This is the zoning map for the property here. And we have a future land use map as well of the property showing that it's traditional urban residential throughout the community and specifically his lot as well. And here's a site plan that was provided for the lot, for the property. This is appearing to be the primary residence, and there's somewhat of a driveway, and this appears to be a garage. So I'm assuming that that is the habitable accessory structure that we're talking about this evening.
That's correct. Yeah, that's the existing garage. It's detached, it's not attached to the house.
And that would conclude the information that we have to share this evening.
Okay, wonderful. So he would, does anybody have any questions about this? So if I'm not mistaken, sir, you will be coming to the regularly scheduled planning and zoning meeting next Thursday night at 7 p.m.
That's correct. Yeah, I'm scheduled. There's apparently 2 of these special meetings, one today and then the regular meeting next Thursday. And then also in June, I have on my sign, I mean, we have scheduled the same thing. There's a week prior to the regular meeting is another special meeting. I'm not sure why, but that's just the way it was set up.
Okay. All right. Well, do you have any questions for us before the meeting next week?
No, the only question I think would be is just how I could either get those drawings from the engineer to you guys or get it so that you would be able to see sort of what we're talking about. So you can see what it inevitably would look like or should look like.
If you could, oh, go ahead.
Chair, can you hear me? This is Commissioner Lovett. Can you
We
hear
will
me?
definitely be able to upload this.
I'm sorry, say that again.
If you work with Miss Solomon or Miss Smith here on the call, both of these ladies are on the call. They can give you the information about where to send information to and get it logged on for the presentation for next Thursday.
Oh, great. Okay.
Mr. Chair, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Love it. We can hear you.
Okay, this is Commissioner Lovett. I do have some questions.
Well, Commissioner Lovett, please ask your questions.
Thank you. Could I get the homeowner to really just go through the dimensions of the property and how it is going to be laid out? I understand that it is a detached garage, but is there going to be, just kind of go through everything that's in this proposed structure?
I'm sorry, commissioners. I'm sorry. This is Stacy Alexander, your court reporter, and we have a lot of background. So if you're not speaking, please mute for me. I cannot properly take down the meeting with the background noise. Thank you very much, Commissioner Miller.
Okay, Mr. Tremble, can you help with Commissioner Lovett's questions?
Yeah, absolutely. So the existing 2-car garage is 480 square feet. We are going to, what we'd like to do is add to the top of the garage another 400 square feet, making a total of 950 square feet of living space. The first floor would be a living area, kitchenette, a half bathroom and laundry, and a small office area for my mom. Upstairs would be her bedroom, a bathroom with a handicap type walk-in type tub situation, bedroom and closet. And I wish, I know that when we did the application, all that, I sent the PDF of all of the drawings. It shows the elevations and, roof lines, etc. I wish I could share that with you right now, but I don't know how to do that.
Well, Mr. Tremble, the good news about this is a work session, so you will be presenting this in a formal meeting next Thursday.
Okay.
So you do have this, you still do have the capacity to share that information with Miss Alexander or Miss Smith.
Okay.
Excuse me, Miss Solomon.
At the meeting, you mean?
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. Okay, great.
Well,
Commissioner,
Commissioner,
any more questions?
Commissioner Miller, he would need to do it not at the meeting, but if you could share it before the meeting so that then they will have it to put it up and can share it with the commission in advance of the meeting.
Absolutely, because I would not be able to share it during the meeting anyway. I don't know how to do that. So I would be happy to send the PDF files to anybody and everybody that would like to see it.
Great, thank you.
And I also had a question, and the question is, will it be on a different power? Will it have its own electric box, or will it be in addition to your present home?
Okay, my understanding is that if this is approved, it has to be attached to my current structure according to what I've been told by the city of East Point. So that the water and power and the sewage line and all that has to come off of the main house.
Thank you.
Do we have any more questions? We've been,
I have a question, Mr. Tremmel.
Yes.
So I know that we'll be getting the plans pretty soon. And you mentioned
Yeah.
that the bedroom is going to be upstairs. Do you have the intention to having like an elevator or lift?
Yeah, we're having a stair lift. We have to have a stair lift. We had initially, the first set of plans that were done by the engineer, we had talked about doing a type of elevator lift. And the cost of that is exorbitant for a home elevator. So then he said structurally it would be better to put a staircase in and to have a lift put in. So that is our intentions, is to put a stair lift on the actual staircase. So the staircase, which you'll see when you get the plans, has been designed wide enough for the stair lift.
Okay. And then the width, so no extension of the garage, you're working within the same square
That's
footage?
correct.
Okay.
Yes, we're staying with the footprint. We're not adding anything to the front, back, sides, just the footprint and just going up, of course.
Okay.
This is Commissioner Lovett again.
Yes.
I do have another question.
Uh-huh.
And I believe, and Mrs. Smith, correct me if I'm wrong, when you stated that there is somewhat of a driveway. Can we get a deeper explanation of the driveway?
Yeah, my driveway is part of the easement that runs between the two houses. My access to my driveway in my backyard comes off of Neely, off of my street, and it runs right down the side of my house. But it used to be an alleyway. There's an alley behind my house and there's an alley down the side. But the alley down the side is actually only my driveway at this point because it's been abandoned and it's now trees beyond there. There's no more road, there's no more anything. So it goes in my driveway and to my gate. And the reason it veers off to the right there is because if you look at can you see the red line around the property?
yes.
Okay, so that's the actual property line. And then if you look at the bottom, the little blue line where it says driveway, that's the easement. And you literally drive down that easement and then you veer off, you literally crossing the property line into the gates. We have electric gates. And then you go in the gates back into the backyard and into the driveway and the garage.
So is that easement, does it belong to the property owner or is it owned by the city?
I believe it's the city.
Is that a problem, Ms. Smith?
Not that I'm aware.
As a matter of fact, the alleyway, it's very unusual over here. I don't really understand it, but like the alley behind us is there's three houses, it's an entire block. There's what, 12 houses on the block. There's only 3 houses that can have access from the back alley to their garage. And the rest is again been overgrown or blocked off or, abandoned, whatever they call it. It's very strange setup, but the only way I can get into my yard is down this easement. And literally to the right of my driveway on that easement line is the neighbor. Like their brick wall is literally on the driveway. Like I passed their brick wall going to my garage.
And that is the only access to your house, so
Correct.
fire and police can't really get down there, can they?
I'm not even sure it's wide enough for a fire truck, to be honest, because of the building next to me. Now, my house isn't on the line, but the building next to me is. But we back up to Church Street. So the access, it's a very unusual situation because we have a business to one side of us and residential to the other. But on the corner to the right is residential, but behind that on the right is commercial, which backs up to my backyard. It's very unusual.
Thank you.
We've since been joined by our chairman, Mr. Sean Atkins. He's now taking over the meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner Miller. It looks like we have another question. Commissioner McKnight, did you get your question answered? Or is your hand?
Yes, I'm sorry. Let me lower it.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Mr. Tremmel, I want to go back to the questions that Commissioner Lovett was asking. The easement, and you're not quite sure if it is recorded or not. How long have you lived in the property?
I bought the house just under 2 years ago.
Okay. All
and
right.
this is a new house compared, the old house that was here many years ago apparently burned down and was torn down. My house was actually built in 2008.
Okay, but the old structure, is it on the same footprint that the new house is built upon?
I don't think so, because yeah, I think it's a new, well, we have a new footing, if that, like a new foundation. Is that what you mean?
Well, no, what I mean is the same footprint. Is it built in the same place where the old house was? Not on the same foundation, but the same footprint. So
basically, but it's larger.
Okay, all right. And the access to that property at that time, was it the same way that you access your home now?
Yes, the person years ago, before the previous owner, had a garage and workshop back there in the original home, not the one, not my current home built in 2008, but the original home built in the 30s or 40s. That was his access. He had an actual automotive shop back there, did repair work and that sort of thing. And yes, that was the access. It has been from day one.
Okay, so there's probably, if I am assuming that the easement is probably recorded, if not at this point, it would probably be a prescriptive easement. And so then that would be fine. Okay, are there any other questions, commissioners, of Mr. Tremmel? Okay, hearing none and seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Tremmel. I think Commissioner Miller has given you information regarding next week's meeting. I also want to share with you that this has been a quite engaging conversation and dialogue. So next week, you may expect the same thing because not all commissioners are here tonight. And so they've not been privy to this conversation. And so you will have to do a whole new presentation just as you did tonight. And there could be additional questions, maybe some of the same ones from this evening.
Well, hopefully I can get the drawings and everything to everybody so that if everybody is there, they can, it'll all be, yeah. Okay.
And the way that you do that is to send it to Director Smith and to Ms. Solomon, and then they will distribute to the commission.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Okay. Director Smith or Ms. Solomon, could you please sound our next case for this evening's work session?
You're muted.
Good evening, Chairman Atkins.
Good evening.
In reference to case number 2, item number 2, case number 2022RZ-1 2021-03. The applicant is Ifantayo Ojelati. I hope I didn't butcher your name too bad. The location is 2538 Stone Road. The applicant seeks to rezone property from RL to MI, which is medical institutional, and they would like to establish a psychology office, and this case type is a rezoning, and this item is for discussion only. No action will be taken on this item.
Okay, Ms. Ojelati, I see that you are present, so this is your opportunity to present your case to the commission. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, or I should say good evening, everyone. I am going to attempt, I'm doing this from my phone because I am actually away from the office. I'm going to attempt to share. And it says only the host can share, so I can't share.
1 second. Let me see
Okay.
if I can help you with that.
You should be able to share now.
Okay. Let's see if it's going to let me do it. I don't think it's gonna let me do it.
Are you able to email it?
Yeah, let me email it.
Meanwhile,
it's the I don't know, Miss Solomon, I don't know if you have it. I think it was yesterday, but I have it. I can send it again.
Yes, I have the presentation if you'd like me to share it.
Do you mind? I'm sorry. I was hoping that this was going to work on the phone.
Give me 1 second.
Okay, thank you.
And Ms. Solomon, as that is coming up, and Ms. Ojelati is getting ready, if there are other presentations from any of the applicants, if you would just have those queued up, just in case they will need those as visuals to talk to their presentations, that we greatly appreciate it.
Okay, so this first slide is just, again, the property, 2538 Stone Road. And I just wanted to kind of give a little bit quickly of the history of this property. The current owners are, it's Mortensen's Woodworks, and they have owned the property for 75 years. They have been building furniture in the property, and in addition to building furniture and selling furniture, then it used to also be, and I'll show you a couple of pictures, it used to also be a furniture showroom, but that's been shut down for a number of years. So we actually have the property under contract right now. And in the process of the purchase and during my due diligence is when we discovered that the property zoning had changed, and thus my request. So if we could please go to the next slide. Oh, just a second. Yeah, thank you. And then on this next slide, what it's actually showing is my purchase is 4 different lots. The first lot is the one that has a dot in the middle, and it actually has 2 properties on it. It's one house that's in the front, and go north, Miss Solomon. Yes, so that is just north of the dot is where the house is. That's where the family lives, and the current owner's family father bought the property. When he bought it in 1947, he said it was a diaper washing factory, and so in the back is the place where they manufacture the furniture currently, and where it used to be the furniture showroom, that was the former diaper washing facility. So I have, in my purchase, I am purchasing all 4 parcels, which is the one with the dot, the one that's to the left, that is the rectangle in the corner, the diamond that's right underneath it, and then the trapezoid, yes. and the trapezoid to the right. And so my request right now is that just the property with the dot be rezoned, considered for rezoning for medical institutional. And as you can see, I will own all 4 of those properties next to each other. And there's a property right adjacent to what I will own that is already zoned medical institutional. And so if we could go to the next slide, please. And I just wanted to be able to show the commissioners just a little snapshot of what the property looks like now. Obviously, since the owners have been in the property for 75 years, it's old and it needs a significant amount of repair. You can see that in the doors, and even the roofing needs to be repaired. If we can go to the next property, it shows the inside of the building where there's quite a bit of water damage. On the very next slide, Ms. Solomon. Thank you. So that one is showing the water damage because the roof is leaking. And then the final slide, which would be the very last one, is where I just wanted to show a picture of where the furniture store used to be. On the very next one. Thank you. So yes, that's where the furniture store used to be. And so just to tell you a little bit about a healing paradigm, and I think that's the very last slide, Ms. Solomon. We have actually operated out of College Park for the last 12 years, and we are a National Health Service Corps site. I'm not sure whether or not you're familiar with it, but National Health Service Corps is a program that psychologists and other healthcare providers can enter into. And we make a commitment to go into areas that may be underserved. And we provide services to the community at either low cost or no cost. And so we have been doing that in College Park, like I said, for 8 years until the pandemic came. And then I knew I wanted to move, and I have been interested in either staying in College Park or East Point. So I was very focused on these particular areas, and in particular East Point, because I used to live there. Half of my current staff of psychologists still lives in East Point, and all the rest of us, even if we don't live in East Point, we live in the Southwest area. And for us, it's really important for us to be able to stay within the community. And so my goal is, with this project, of being able to renovate the building, because as you can see, it needs a lot of repair. And the owners have been wanting to sell the building and be able to bring a National Health Service Corps site to East Point, because right now, and although there are other sites that are in Georgia, there's no National Health Service Corps site that is located in East Point. So not only will we be bringing National Health Service Corps services to East Point, we would also be bringing, like I said, doctoral level psychologists, myself and the others, and we service the entire community. So it's from children to adults. We specialize in trauma and autism, lots of developmental disorders. And I have a particular area where I work with children, not children, I don't work with children. My child psychologist works with children. I work with women, and I work with a lot of veterans. And so my goal is to be able to provide those services in this building. So that is it for my presentation. And I'll be open to questions.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ojolade. Commissioners, are there any questions of our applicant this evening?
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Commissioner, and thank you, Mr. Co-Commissioner. The only question I have, will you be providing any type of housing for veterans temporarily, maybe in the future, as you acquire these 4 parcels of land?
It is not part of our plan right now on those properties. I'm sure I can see your picture, Commissioner Presley. So I'm assuming, I can only assume that you're a veteran or active duty. It is something that I have thought about. I have two kind of projects in mind around being able to provide one, housing for veterans, but also housing for people that have serious mental illness, because that's a personal, let me just be transparent because I just can't be any other kind of way. My mother was mentally ill. That's why I became a psychologist. And so I have a serious commitment to being able to serve the community. So it is a pet project that I have. I don't know that I would be able to do it on that particular property, but it is something that's close to my heart.
Thank you, and I admire your strength. That's all. That's the only question I had.
Thank you, Commissioner Presley. Commissioners, do you have any other questions of Dr. Ojolade?
Mr. Chair, I do have a
Yes.
couple of questions.
Yes,
Commissioner Levitt.
Yes, Commissioner Levitt, go ahead.
On the, can we go back to the diagram or the architectural layout of the property where the dot is?
I think it's slide 2.
Yes, I think that's it. The next slide.
That's it.
Okay, so on this, tell us again where the house is. Is it the one on the top?
Yes, ma'am. I wish I could, thank you, Miss Solomon. So that's where the house is. And this is all one parcel, as you can see. So the house is there. If you look below the dot to the left, Miss Solomon, if you can point to that, no, yep, that one, that is the building. That's the commercial building.
Okay, so what's at the top left where the arrow is? Well, not really, but at the top left, what is, all the way up there? What's,
And there,
yes.
nothing.
Is it just woods or?
Oh,
So
I see
that's,
what you're saying. It's grass.
okay,
and a few
is that
trees.
part of the purchase?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and to the immediate right, is that part of the purchase?
Are you,
There.
that one? No, it's not.
Okay,
It's
so
not.
what is that? What's there currently?
It's a house.
Okay, and what's below that?
Nothing. It's woods.
There, right there?
Yes. Yes, the
Okay.
trapezoid.
So where is the parking for what you're proposing?
The parking is behind the building and it wraps around the building.
And how many parking spaces are we talking about?
They're honestly not marked off, and the parking lot has to be repaved, but it's probably a good 20 because of the way that it is. I mean, it's huge because the current company that's there, they have to move these big trucks out, in and out of the property. So, I mean, it's a ton of parking, but like I said, it needs to be repaved.
Actually, it's not paved. There's no pavement there. So how many patients do you currently have? What I'm really asking is, do you have enough parking space for your current patient load?
Oh, yeah. But I mean, maybe you and I are talking about something different, because I mean, it's absolutely got asphalt there. It's definitely a parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah. But we see, like, at one time, there may be 8 people at the most, and I think that would be, no, that's not true. It wouldn't be 8, because there's 7 of us total, but we all obviously don't work at the same time. And so if there's 6 offices, then the most, and usually 4 at a time, or when we were at the other office, we had 6, and 4 at a time would be full. So with the clinicians, that's like 8 parking spaces.
Okay, thank you. So no one at any point in time with your current plan, no one is staying on site anywhere, is that right?
You said no one is staying on site?
No one is staying on site.
You're not
Living on site? Are you saying like living on site? No, I don't offer those services currently. We only do outpatient treatment. We don't do anything residential currently.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions? Thank you, Commissioner Lovett.
Oh, yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Okay, Commissioner Fields, Joseph, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am, I see your application is for, you want to rezone from residential limited commercial to a medical institutional. Is that for just for your office, or are you planning to make that entire lot that you just showed us into some sort of complex pertaining to the medical industry?
No, just the lot that I just showed you. I didn't actually even realize all of that came with it. I didn't realize a house or anything. When we put the offer in for the property, I put the offer in, when we looked at it, everything was for the commercial building. And then as we started talking and negotiating, I realized like all of this other stuff came with it. That wasn't something that I negotiated or intended on doing anything. So I don't have any intention on trying to do anything additional right now with that.
Well, the only reason I asked the question, man, is because when you rezone, a zone is like for a category. You only have one structure. You want to make one structure. So that was my question, and I could question the attorney about it, anyone else. But if you're moving into a place and it's not zoned for what you're going to do, perhaps you should ask for a special use permit. I don't know.
Well, I think when I talked to my realtor and when I was talking to my attorney that is my real estate attorney, they were suggesting to go this route. And then when I went and sat and talked with Mr. Austin and Ms. Solomon, I wasn't sure what to do. So this is the steps that I was suggested to take. So that's why I'm taking these steps. I'm certainly open to additional suggestions on what to do. But obviously, because this came up in the process of due diligence, because the owners thought the property was still zoned as commercial. And they've been paying, because they've been there for so long, even when you look at the Fulton County, their taxes, they're paying to Fulton County in terms of taxes, they're paying for the property as though it is a commercial property. So this is something that is all new for all of us. And so I'm just trying the best that I can, as humbly as I can, and try to figure out what's the best route. And I'm certainly open to suggestions on how I should be heading.
Okay, I appreciate your answers and your explanations. Since we're going to handle this case, I believe next Thursday, I'll do some research further, just to determine exactly what your situation should be, or could be, as far as rezoning is concerned. And that's my question, because you're here for rezoning, not permission to use the place for a psychology office. It's a commercial. All right, thank you very much.
Okay. Commissioner Fields, just to piggyback on just sort of your last two comments. So I think that the rezoning is to allow the use. So Director Smith, under the RL, the psychology office is not a use that's allowed in that zoning category, correct?
That's correct.
So Commissioner Fields, she's before us this evening because under the zoning category, medical institutional, it will allow that use. Currently, she would not be able to operate her business on that lot under the RL zoning category.
I understand that, and that's unfortunate that it comes up like this. It is a commercial endeavor, just like what was there previously, but it happens to fall under the auspices of medical, which,
The property is currently zoned residential limited, which is a residential zoning district classification.
which means if she had an office in her home, she could do that, right? But she can conduct business out of her home?
She could, but it's not her home.
Right. It's a commercial place. Well,
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Fields. Commissioner McKnight, I did see your hand up and then you lowered your hand. Did your question get asked and answered?
It did. You actually clarified it for me already.
Okay.
I just wanted to be clear on the explanation, the difference between the commercial and the medical use. That's all. So thank you.
You're welcome. So I've got a few questions, Dr. Ojolade, and these also would be questions also for staff. So I understand based on where Dr. Ojolade was directing Ms. Solomon to move the cursor, that there are 4 parcels. 2 of the parcels front Stone Road, correct? Well, one of the parcels, well, they both front, 2 of the parcels front both Stone Road and this something connector. What is that road that bends and curves? It's something drive connector.
Stone Hogan connector.
Stone Hogan connector. So 2 of the properties front both Stone Road and Stone Hogan Drive connector, and 1 property fronts Stone Hogan Drive connector, correct? 1 parcel.
You said 1 parcel, Stone Hogan Drive connect.
1 parcel connects, 1 parcel fronts Stone Hogan Drive connector. 2 of the properties, yes, okay, and then 3 of the properties front Stone, well, 4 of the properties front Stone Hogan Drive connector. 2 of the properties front Stone Road and Stone Hogan Drive connector, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and the properties that are to the east of your property and to the north of, yes, that property there, what is that zone? You said that that's a house there, Dr. Ojolade?
Yes, sir. It's the zone RL.
So it's zone RL, okay? And then the property that is below the sort of trapezoid property, that's RL as well, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when you were seeking to purchase the property, you actually didn't realize that all of those parcels came with the sale, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so for your rezoning request, 2538 Stone Road, that is the property with the dot that is sort of, for the lack of a better term, a weird or funny shaped parcel, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so in essence, if we grant the rezoning, we're gonna have a medical institutional property that would then front Stone Road and Stone Hogan Drive connector and would be sandwiched between RL properties, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Would it be a consideration for you, since all of those properties are part of the sale, to and you didn't know that you were going to need or get all of that, the portion that you're actually going to use for your business operations and for the parking, what part of this parcel are those portions on?
The weird shape and basically, if you start, go, Miss Solomon, oh, where your cursor was, I was gonna say go to, point to the, go up to the rectangle on the left, and right there on the corner, go right down diagonally to the corner. Yes, cut across there to the property on the right. So essentially, if you cut across that line, go straight across to the right. If you start, if you saw that as a line, from that line down to the beginning of the trapezoid, that is essentially where the commercial piece is.
Okay, so have you considered subdividing, and Ms. Wiggins, I may need, or Director Smith, I may need some help on this. Had you considered subdividing? Because my concern is that we would then have all of these RL properties that are surrounding this one medical institution. But the only portion that you really need to do your operations would be from that line that we just saw going south, correct? And
Correct.
if you subdivided that property, the top part, all of that then facing Stone Road and that corner facing Stone Hogan Connector could remain RL. The bottom portion could then be your MI, which is what you need. And then it would keep the other portions also RL. So then you're not sandwiched between all of those other portions. And then there's just this one part that's carved out where it holds all of your, the land and the buildings that you need for your business operations and cleans those up, those funny shaped parcels and all of that. Have you considered that at all?
We talked about it at the very beginning. Because they've owned the property for so long, there was no survey maps. And so they were saying, well, when I was talking to the surveyor, he was like, okay, so this is a long process. Do what you're doing now, and then we can talk about what else we can do to try to carve things up. Because yes, I mean, what you're saying makes sense, Mr. Chairman. And so, I mean, I'm definitely open to ideas. I'm not pressed on trying to, I mean, I have my own home. I'm not pressed on trying to have that home in there. What I'm interested in is being able to renovate the commercial property and use it as an office.
Right, I got you. And so if you did subdivide, it would still allow you to do that. And the reason that I'm sort of having this conversation with you, Dr. Gelade, is because if there's already an RL zoning classification that already homes there, to the best extent possible, I would like for those persons who have lived there for however long they've lived there to sort of still maintain some level of a residential look and feel. You understand? And so if it were subdivided, because right now what will happen is that particular funny shaped piece of property, it goes all the way from Stone Road, all the way down to Stone Hogan Connector. And then you've got all of this residential on either side. So you wouldn't be able to then, I don't know, to then go back and put a home on that portion, but it will allow some residential character, at least on the Stone Road side. And then your commercial side could be from the Stone Hogan Drive Connector portion. So that's why I'm really asking those questions. And it would clean up, in my mind, just those really weird shaped parcels that you didn't even know came with the sale until you start to really get into it. So that's why I was asking those questions. But the decision is yours for you to discuss with your attorneys and to finally make. But those were my observations. And I wanted to know what the other parcels were zoned. And then I think you've answered my other question. Looking at the condition of the photos, I didn't know if the property was in such disrepair that you would raise it and rebuild, but it sounds like you want to keep the structure and renovate. Is that correct?
Correct. I mean, if you go inside, it's got the beautiful hardwoods, beautiful barn doors. I mean, I think it's a scary, but it's a great renovation project.
Okay, perfect.
Mr.
right, thank you,
Chair,
Dr. Gelati.
I do have another question. Is this, am I looking at this correctly when at the bottom, is it 1.2 acres? 0.257? Is it more than an acre?
Yes,
Is
it
that
is.
the 1.25?
So I've seen two different things. I've seen 1.2 something and I've seen 2 something in terms of the acreage.
It's 1.2.257. So it's, yeah, I got it. Okay.
Okay, thank
Thank
you,
you.
Commissioner Lovett. Any other questions of Dr. Gelati? All right, Commissioner Lovett, did you re-raise your hand or is it just still up? Okay, all right. Okay, if there are no other questions, thank you so much, Dr. Ojelade, for that.
Thank you.
And we will see you next week. You'll get all of the login information from Director Smith or Ms. Solomon regarding the credentials to get into the meeting for next week, okay?
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, thank you. Our next case is, I'm sorry. Our next case.
I'm sorry, I had to clear my throat and now I'm apologize.
Okay, no worries. Our next case is 2022-001-04 and 2022 V as in Victor, C as in Charles /001-04. This looks like it's a special use permit, and is it a concurrent variance?
Yes.
Okay, would you sound this agenda item, Director Smith, please?
I will, in reference to new business, item number 3, case number 2022-001-04 and / 2022 VC-001-04. The applicant is Mike Vahel and Public Storage. The location is 3 addresses, 3291, 3271, and 3261 Camp Creek. And the applicant is seeking a special use permit to expand existing public storage facility and also see concurrent variances for the separation from other storage uses, parking, and loading. This case type is a special use permit with concurrent variances, and this item on this agenda is for discussion purposes only.
Okay, thank you so very much. And do we have the applicant? Is this Valet, Mr. Mike Valet?
Bill, I'm actually Sean Walker. I am stepping in for Mike as a development team member of public storage. And then I'm joined by Brett Buckland from our civil engineering team.
Okay, I am not hearing you clearly, but I want to make sure that Ms. Alexander is. So Ms. Walker, can you continue to speak so that we can make sure that we can hear you clearly?
Yes, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Ms. Alexander, you good? Okay, great. The floor is yours. You can present your case.
Okay, well, again, I'm Sean Walker from Public Storage Development Team. We're here to present an expansion project that we have currently for the city of East Point. And as I mentioned earlier, I am joined by our civil engineering team, Bowler, and Brett Buckland can speak on behalf. So Brett, I'll pass it over to you. And I'm free to answer any questions about public storage if needed.
Awesome, thanks, Sean, and thank you to the commission here. So yeah, in conjunction with public storage, we are proposing to expand their existing facility here on Camp Creek Parkway. The proposed expansion will be the removal of one. Well, I guess 2 of their existing 1-story buildings and replacing that with a larger 3-story building. And with, associated parking and green space and utilities and all of those items. We are seeking a special use permit as well as a variance due to the proximity to self-storage. Obviously, this is an existing self-storage facility, so the existing conditions do not meet the current code. You can see that another public storage facility right up here to the north. But again, this is expanding the existing facility here, but keeping it generally in the same location. We're also seeking a variance for the required parking. I believe roughly 50 or so parking spaces are required for this expansion building. Public storage is one of, Sean, you can maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but the largest self-storage owner in the country. And so they are, they believe that the provided parking is adequate for their needs. And we can provide a parking study as needed to assist with that. But that's generally our project, and welcome any questions and discussion further on the project.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Walker, and thank you, Mr. Buckland. I do see Commissioner McKnight's hand raised. Commissioner McKnight, you have the floor, and then we'll go to Commissioner Fields, Mark on after Commissioner McKnight.
Okay, thank you, Sean. My question is, you mentioned it's this building that's here in this cream color is currently 2 levels, and you want to, I just want to make sure I'm getting this right. You want to make it 3 levels, or I guess remove it and build one that's 3 levels?
Yeah, so currently it's just a 1-level building, kind of this L-shaped right here. Building, just one of the typical self-storage facilities, the 1-level
right.
we see. And there's also a former fast food restaurant that is currently right here, and an old car wash, correct. That was right here, that's been demolished. So those would also obviously be removed as a part of this project.
Okay, so right now you already own all of that, where those other buildings,
Public storage owns, again, this kind of L-shaped lot back here. And they're planning to purchase these 2 additional properties.
Gotcha.
To perform this project.
Okay. So what will happen to the L shape that's behind it, that's currently there, the existing structures?
These are all to remain. The only building that would be removed would be, let's see, roughly this building right here.
Correct.
Okay. And then with the 3 levels, I know there's a height requirement or maximum, I guess. Has that already been checked and confirmed whether or not it'll meet that?
Yeah, I believe, let's see if I have it called out here. The max building height is 40 feet. And we are proposing roughly a 36-foot height maximum.
Okay. Okay, that's all I have for now.
Thank you, Commissioner McKnight. Commissioner Fields, Mark.
Thank you. You sort of answered a couple of my questions here, which first question was, I saw that where your parking lot is, presently there's a car wash that was there. So you plan on purchasing that property?
Correct, yes.
And then in addition to that, you'd also have to purchase the restaurant or the fast food place there.
Correct.
In order to make this work.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
And that's a pretty good size drop off from where your parking lot is now. Basically, you would sit and look down on the gas station and those other buildings there.
Yes, yeah, there's a fairly large retaining wall that's currently present right through here. It's something we're actively looking at from a structural perspective and analyzing that existing retaining wall. So yes, this would be sitting up above this fuel station.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to understand. Thank you.
Yep.
Commissioners, are any other questions of Ms. Walker or Mr. Buckland?
Mr. Chair, this is Commissioner Levitt.
Go ahead.
This is just a question that has nothing really to do with what we're talking about tonight, but Do citizens ever know what's in the storage facilities? Because as you grow, I would imagine you have a lot of commercial customers. What's the regulation for storage? And how do we know we're safe here in East Point?
Yeah, Ms. Solomon or Ms. Smith, you all may know different. I can't remember this, your all specific ordinance. But I believe there are regulations as to, no storage of hazardous materials or things like that, within these facilities.
Correct. We do have guidelines that we adhere to and we make customers sign off on. And so we're here to be partners with the community and to add additional service. With this particular project, we're looking to revamp an older existing product to more modern, climate controlled, and again, just offering more storage capacity for this immediate area. I don't know if we talked about it, but we are a data-driven company, which means we've been around since the 1970s. We have a lot of information from all of our existing storage facilities across the country. And so for this immediate area, we've seen that capacity is very high. There is a need here that needs to be met, and we're just here to try to propose a project to meet that increased demand.
So you're building for future customers, or you have customers that you currently service that's asking for more space?
Both.
So do you have a purge process in place? Do you ever say time to purge?
Yes, ma'am, we do. In our development process, we do outline a vacate policy. And so we'll give our existing customers that are currently residing or utilizing units that we plan to demolish, we'll give them ample opportunity to relocate, and we will assist them with those measures. But then just give us some time and we'll come back bigger and better and offering more climate controlled units, which most people prefer these days. So we're hoping to be an additional service to the community. And again, if there was not a need, we wouldn't want to be here, but we do see it as one. So we're hoping that you all will support our project.
Go ahead, Kiki.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Walker. Commissioner Fields, Joseph, you had your hand up and then it went away. Do you still have a question, Commissioner Fields?
Yes, I do.
We're going to go to Commissioner Fields, Joseph, and then we'll go to Commissioner Presley. And Commissioner Fields, Mark, did you still have a question or did you just fail to lower your hand? Okay, thank you. So we'll go to Commissioner Fields, Joseph, and then we'll go to Commissioner Presley. You have the floor, Commissioner Fields.
Okay, thank you very much. The fact that you want to enhance the community is commendable. I appreciate that as well. But one of the requirements for applications is that you own the property that you plan to affect. And based on what you've said so far, you don't own certain pieces of the property that you plan to occupy at this time. So it would be premature, I believe, for us to give you permission to build the building before it belongs to you. You know, before it belongs to you, and the fact that do what you want with it. So I just wanted to make that observation.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, and I appreciate your comment. Right now, we do own one of the 3 parcels. We're under contract now to buy 2 of the 3 parcels. And so as we work through our due diligence, one of the items is to make sure we can secure the proper zoning to build the expansion. And without that approval, it's a non-starter. We won't be able to move forward to then close on the property and officially own it.
So, yes. And in addition to that, we also, as a part of our application, have approval from the existing landowners for the other 2 properties. And he has signed part of the application as well.
That's correct.
Has he given you a contract to actually cede this property to or sell this property to you?
Yes, sir.
On your request for expansion?
Yes, sir. We're currently under contract to purchase both parcels.
Well, you know, perhaps you could like show that next time you come when we have to vote on this?
Absolutely. We can provide the information and just address any concerns that you have. But we would not ever identify our property and present it to any zoning department or committee without the consent of the owner or being under
I
contract.
understand, we're just being technical.
Yes, sir. I understand.
Commissioner Fields, as part of the application, it's a requirement for the applicant to have property authorization as part of our rezoning application packet. So that information we do have, and it should have been part of the application package that was sent out to the commissioners.
Okay, thank you very much.
Right. And Commissioner Fields, just to also tag on to what Director Smith was saying, we will oftentimes hear cases where the applicant does not yet own the property. Their decision to move forward would be based on whether they receive a variance or rezoning. And if they don't receive those things, then they would not move forward with the purchase of those things. I believe the case that we just heard for Stone Road, I don't think that Dr. Ojalade yet owns the property. I think that she's going through the process of purchasing it. But we oftentimes, very often, we will hear cases where the applicant does not yet own the property. But there are authorizations, as Director Smith has just mentioned, that they will need to provide in order to present the case to us from the current owner.
Thank you very much for that information.
Sure.
Yeah.
It looks like Commissioner Presley, and then we'll go back to Commissioner McKnight. Commissioner Presley, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My only question, ma'am, is with this new structure, I'm seeing that it's 35 square feet. To aid our firefighters, will this meet fire and life safety codes as far as having a sprinkler system and an audible visual fire alarm system installed? If it
Yes,
were.
sir. I appreciate your question. I'll hand that over to Brett, who handles our civil design.
Okay.
Brett, would you mind answering that question for?
Yeah, absolutely.
Presley.
We will ensure that we're meeting all the applicable fire codes and life safety codes as a part of this project.
Understood. That's my civilian occupation. I always worry about safety, and you never know what a person is storing in their individual.
Absolutely.
buildings.
Yeah. And I know that is a concern sometimes with these self-storage facilities with some narrow drive aisles and everything. But that, we're providing an extra wide, I think 26 or 28 foot drive aisle here to meet even an aerial apparatus for this facility.
Well, the city has that. Hopefully it's never needed. Okay.
Exactly. Agreed.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Presley. Commissioner McKnight, you have the floor.
Thank you. I have two questions. First, I don't want to assume, I just want to be clear. So where it is showing in the shade of green, is the plan for that to be greenery? So that's one of the questions. And then the other, with the new structure, are there going to be any updates to the existing ones behind it, the ones that are in that L shape, just to make everything just look, I don't know, kind of cohesive?
Yeah, I'll answer the green part. That the plan would be for that to be a softscape material, whether it's grass or landscaping of some sort, but not a paved area. And so it probably wouldn't all be trees or anything like that, just to reduce the because that would reduce visibility of the facility. But there would be, the meeting the landscaping requirements for the city and, providing a nice visibility of the facility, as well as there is a billboard on our site. So we would not be able to block, their view by, putting a bunch of trees around their billboard.
Correct. And to address that second part of your question, Director Smith, we have sent proposals internally to review what can we do for the remaining of the property. And so typically, not just specific to this site, when we go in for an expansion, we would like to at minimum repaint, just to make sure all the paint is cohesive between the old and the new buildings. But once that information has been approved, we'll be more than happy to share that with you.
Okay,
And when I
thank,
say approved, I mean internally approved before we share it externally.
okay. All right, thank you.
Commissioners, are there any other questions of Ms. Walker or Mr. Buckland? Okay, great. Thank you both so very much for your presentation, and you will receive information from staff regarding login credentials for next week's meeting.
Thank you all so much for your time.
Yeah,
Have a great week.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next case is 2021 V as in Victor -001-12. Director Smith, if you would please sound this agenda item.
Yes, Chairman Atkins. Excuse me. In reference to item number 4, case number 2021 V-001-12, the applicant is Dagesh Patel and Lauren Porter. The property is located at 3550 and 3560 North Desert Drive. The applicant is seeking a 2-part variance to increase the height of a proposed hotel and a reduction in parking spaces. This case type is a variance, and this petition and application is up for consideration from this body for a final decision and vote.
Okay. Okay. So we would need to open a public hearing for this item. Is it this only item, or is agenda item number 5 also on the agenda for final vote? Okay, and both of those will require a public hearing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so these are the 2 cases that we will act on. Just a second. Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as I've just mentioned, agenda item 2021 V as in Victor -001-12 and agenda item 2022 U as in umbrella -001-03. These 2 items are coming before us tonight for final action. Both will require a public hearing. At this time, I will read our rules for public hearings before the East Point Planning and Zoning Commission. Public hearings, I'm sorry, let me go back just 1 second to remind everyone. As we continue to virtually meet due to COVID-19 pandemic, we're utilizing this telemeeting platform to act upon planning and zoning cases as they come before this commission. As such, I am asking each participant, other than commissioners and staff, to mute their devices. Once we get to parts of the agenda that require public input, those who have notified staff of their desire to speak will be recognized to speak. If you did not notify staff but desire to speak, please use the raise hand or chat function to be recognized. Public hearings before the Planning and Zoning Commission shall be conducted in accordance with Section 10-2219 of the East Point Zoning Code and Development Regulations. Public hearing rules are as follows. Persons both favoring and opposing the proposed case will be provided an opportunity to address the commission. The applicant for the zoning case or the applicant's designated representative, if any, will be entitled to speak first, followed by other speakers in favor for the proposal for a total of 15 minutes. Those who oppose the proposed zoning case will then be permitted to speak for a total of 15 minutes. By majority vote, the commission may increase the total time of speakers provided that each side is given the same amount of time. If there is more than one speaker for a side, the chair or the presiding officer may limit the time allotted to each individual speaker other than the zoning applicant. The zoning applicant may reserve a portion of his or her allotted time for rebuttal. Speakers must adhere to the rules of decorum. Prior to speaking, each speaker shall identify him or herself and state his or her current address. Each speaker shall speak only to the merits of the proposed zoning ordinance under consideration, shall address remarks only to the commission, and shall refrain from making personal attacks on any other speaker. The presiding officer may refuse a speaker the right to continue if after first being cautioned, the speaker continues to violate the rules of decorum. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the rules for our public hearing. At this time, commissioners, I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing for 2021 V as in Victor -001-12.
Motion to open the public hearing.
Is there a second? Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Lovett, that we open the public hearing for 2021 V as in Victor -001-12. Staff, would you please sound the caption for this agenda item?
Chairman, in reference to case number in reference to item number 4, case number 2021V-001-112, the applicant, Nagesh Patel and Lauren Porter, property located at 3550 and 3560 North Desert Drive. The applicant is seeking a 2-part variance to increase the height of a proposed hotel and a reduction in the required parking spaces. The case type is a variance, and this application and petition is for consideration and a vote on this evening's
Thank you.
meeting.
Thank you, Director Smith. Do we have our applicants present this evening? I
Yes,
do.
sir. This is Nagesh Patel. I'm here.
Okay, Mr. Patel, you have the floor. You may present your case.
Okay. Ms. Smith, is there any way I can share my screen, please?
Yes, you should be able to share your screen.
And before you start, remember the rules of the public hearing. You must state your first and last name and your current address.
All right, I'm so sorry. Nagesh Patel, and current address is 3575 Trowbridge Drive, Cumming, Georgia, 30040. And I am not able to share my screen, ma'am. Oh, here we go. All right. So let me just start showing you guys. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for your time today. I know we started a little slow, but we're here. And I really appreciate you guys taking this time. This is the location we're talking about, 3550, 3560 North Desert Drive. I actually own the place, and we're planning to build a hotel up here. If you look at the street view, we're confined by this big retention wall on 3 sides of the property. This is the one entrance for the hotel, and which there is a current hotel up here already, car wash, and this is where my property is at. What we are planning to do up here is build this hotel, and these are the parking lot. The current condition, current zoning only requires us to, or only allows us to build it up to 40 foot. And we're requesting to go 6 feet higher. And current, it's a 110 room hotel, and we are requesting 6 hotel or 6 parking space less to, accommodate the entry and a fire truck turnaround on the same property. And I think that's pretty much what I have. If you guys have any questions.
Mr. Patel, for the purposes of the public hearings, we only hear from the applicant. And after the public hearing, if there are questions of the commission, then they're able to engage. But if there are other speakers in favor of this zoning item, you're now able to speak. If there are other speakers in favor of this zoning item, you're now able to speak. Hearing none and seeing none, are there any attendees here who oppose this zoning item? Any attendees here who oppose the zoning item? Hearing none and seeing none, commissioners, at this time I entertain a motion to close the public hearing for 2021 V as in Victor -001-12.
Motion to close the meeting.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Fields, so we close the public hearing for 2021 V as in Victor -001-12. All in favor sound aye.
Aye.
All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now closed. Staff, would you please sound your recommendation?
Yes, Chairman, in reference to this case, 3550 and 3660 North Desert Drive, it's a 2-part variance. And it's case number 20, I apologize, it's 21V-001-12. And due to the topological issues on site, staff recommends approval and relief of the height request, excuse me, and I really apologize. I'm trying not to cough and finish my statement at the same time. I'm just gonna start over from our recommendation, sir.
Sure.
Due to the topographical issues on site, staff recommends approval for relief from section 10-2073 to C Central Business District, Part E, Development Standards, Part A, Height Regulations. No building shall exceed 40 feet in height. Staff is recommending to grant a 6-foot variance for a height increase. Excuse me. For the height increase. And then staff also recommends approval for relief of Article E, off-street parking and loading, section 10-2152, parking spaces required. The hotel use requires 1 space per room. The proposed hotel has 110 parking spaces, therefore requiring 110 off-street parking spaces. Staff recommends to grant 6 off-street parking space reduction as required, as requested by the applicant. The hotel therefore will be allowed 104 parking spaces. If approved by the Planning Commission, staff also recommends the following conditions be imposed. First condition, shall combine 2 parcels into 1 parcel as part of site development process. Shall provide an enhanced lighting plan to include dark sky lighting features and incorporate enhanced landscape plan to be reviewed by our planning staff, planners. Condition number 3, shall provide an enhanced landscape plan to incorporate some form of low impact development and green infrastructure and have a lighting and add lighting features as also to be reviewed by the planning staff.
Okay. Does that summarize the recommendation from staff?
That summarizes our recommendation, sir.
All right, thank you. Or I should say conclude. Director Smith or Ms. Solomon, are you able to put on the screen the conditions so that we can see those?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Commissioners, we've heard from the applicant, we've heard staff's recommendation. Staff's recommendation has also conditions. At this time, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner Fields.
I recommend that we approve the application in accordance with the explanation and conditions delivered by the director.
Okay, because this is a variance, your motion will not require a recommendation. So just so that I'm clear and we can perfect the record, Commissioner Fields, you move that we approve the variance request for 2021 V as in Victor -001-12, and including in that approval are the conditions as stated by staff. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Fields, seconded by Commissioner Lovett, that this body approves the variance request for 2021 V as in Victor -001-12 with the conditions as stated by staff. At this time, I'll take any comments, questions, or concerns from the commission. Okay, I'll have some. Ms. Solomon, can you enlarge the conditions, please?
Yes, sir.
This is Thursday. It's a game on.
Okay, so I would like to just go through the conditions and offer some edits for consideration for the body. So in condition number 1, shall combine the 2 parcels into 1 parcel as part of the site development process. So with that, I just think that there has to be a few more specifics. I don't know if the applicant owns just 2 parcels there, if the applicant owns 3 parcels there. So I don't know how many parcels the applicant actually owns. So I don't think that the condition is specific enough. So are we able to have any identifiable information regarding the specific 2 parcels referenced in condition 1?
The address, sir, 3550 and 3560 North Desert Drive, to be
Okay.
combined into 1 parcel.
Okay, and so the applicant does not own any other parcels around this, is that correct? Mr. Patel?
That is correct, sir. I only own 2 of those.
Okay, so just so that we're specific, because I want to make sure that those are the parcels we're speaking of, shall combine the 2 parcels under consideration at 3550 and 3560 North Desert Drive.
Are you still able to see?
I am now on slide that says 3160 Aerocourt.
Okay. I was gonna make the edits, but I'm not able to do it while I'm showing the screen, so I won't try that again.
Okay, no worries. If we could go back to the conditions. Okay, number 2 shall provide enhanced lighting plan. Shall provide enhanced lighting plan to include dark sky lighting features and incorporate enhanced landscape plan to be reviewed by planning community development staff planners. Okay, so dark sky lighting, those features, is that proprietary technology, or is that in general a type of lighting feature?
That's a type of lighting feature that basically involves light pollution, or to try to get away from light pollution.
Okay, and there are
Yeah.
several brands of that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I'm asking that question because dark sky lighting is capitalized, and so I didn't know if that was a very specific brand. And then in my estimation, it would be a gratuity, and Georgia law prohibits gratuities. Is that correct, Ms. Wiggins?
It's correct, sir.
Okay, all right. So it's a type and not a brand. So
Correct.
I'm okay now. So I'm okay with that part. Now, when the applicant is submitting the enhanced landscape plan for review, is it also the intent that staff has to approve it? Because I can submit something for review and it's not what, it doesn't meet the expectations of staff or what we need for the city. So do we also need to say for to be reviewed and approved by?
Yes, we can add approved as well.
Okay, and that would also, so that would be for number 2. And then for number 3, shall provide enhanced landscape plan that incorporates some form of low impact development and green infrastructure and have lighting features also to be reviewed and approved. So for me, that's reviewed and approved by.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Was it just 3 conditions or 4?
Just 3, sir.
Okay, so those are my edits. And so I would need a commissioner, if it is the will of this body, to accept those as a part of a friendly amendment to the motion.
Mr. Chair, I will give it an attempt. This is Commissioner Lovett, and that is I move that we accept the proposed edits by the chair as part of the previous motion.
So I think Commissioner Lovett, you were the second, and Ms. Wiggins, if I'm correct, Commissioner Fields would need to accept those as a friendly amendment, those modifications to the conditions, and then you can let us know if your second still stands.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So what will happen is you guys need to vote to add Commissioner Lovett's amendment to the original motion. And if that passes, then you'll vote on the amended motion.
Okay, so Commissioner Lovett, okay, so instead of doing a friendly amendment, so Ms. Wiggins is suggesting that we get a second for Commissioner Lovett's motion. So is there a second?
Yes.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Lovett, seconded by Commissioner Fields, that this body approves the variance with the conditions as amended by Chairman Atkins, and has been seconded by Commissioner Fields. All in favor, sound aye.
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 All opposed, sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. So now, Ms. Wiggins, is Commissioner Fields' motion still on the floor?
Yes.
Okay, and
It just
So
now
now-
has Commissioner Lovett's amendment. to it.
Amendment is added to it, okay. And so now, Commissioners, the motion on the floor is to approve the variance requests, the various two-part variance request for 3550 and 3560 North Desert Drive, with the additional edits to the conditions as provided by Commissioner Lovett and seconded by Commissioner Fields. All in favor, sound aye.
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 All opposed, sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The motion carries. The variance is approved. Our next agenda item is 2022U as an umbrella -001-03. Staff, would you please sound the caption for this agenda item?
Chairman, in reference to item number 5, case number 2022U-001-03, the applicant Scott Parkhurst, property located at 3160 Aerocourt, applicant seeking a special use permit to construct and renovate an existing building, research testing laboratory facility. Case type is a special use permit, and this item is for consideration and vote.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing for 2022U as an umbrella -001-03.
Motion to open the public hearing.
Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Lovett, seconded by Commissioner Miller, that we open the public hearing for 2022U as an umbrella -001-03. All in favor, sound aye.
Aye.
All opposed, sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now open. And do we have the applicant, Mr. Parkhurst, present this evening?
Mr. Parkhurst is present.
Okay, Mr. Parkhurst, the floor is yours. State your first and last name and your current address. You may present your case.
Scott Parkhurst, our current address is 4767 Clark Howell Highway, Atlanta, Georgia, 30349.
You may present your case.
Okay. Sorry, my. Right Testing Labs is an ISO 17025 accredited testing facility. We test all types of products, but primarily building products for compliance with the International Building Code, Plumbing Code, Electrical Code, and Energy Efficiency Code. We currently and have been operating for the last 3 years at 4767 Clark Howell Highway, which is zoned light industrial. This is the facility under the previous owners. Here's the front view. Here is what we plan to do with the facility or the property. Here is the zoning map. This is where this property is. These are the types of products that we test. This is just a simple representation of a plumbing supply hose. Essentially what we do is we test this hose to 500 PSI. We cycle it from 50 PSI to 180 PSI, 100,000 times. We make sure that the inlet fittings will actually screw onto your supply stop and the toilet. We also are accredited for evaluations of products to WaterSense, which is an initiative EPA developed back in 2006, which it started off with toilets, then it expanded into shower heads, kitchen faucets, lavatory faucets, irrigation controllers, and irrigation emitters. We test all of those to make sure that they have a reduced or an optimum consumption of water while maintaining performance, that you can flush your toilet, get your hair washed, and rinse your dishes and water your yard adequately without any waste. On the right is a picture of fiberglass insulation. If you'll notice that it says R30, We are one of the labs that actually come up with that rating with a device called the heat flow meter. Next, we evaluate products for UV resistance, typically 1500 hours under ASTM G155 is about 10 years of exposure outdoors. Your fiberglass plumbing fixtures will also have to comply with this method for only 200 hours. We evaluate products for compression strength, tensile strength to make sure that your ceiling doesn't collapse, over 10 years. It's called a creep test. We also evaluate maximum loads up to 60,000 pounds. On the right is an environmental chamber, which goes from negative 60 degrees Fahrenheit up to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. We can also control humidity ranges. Our chambers are completely programmable. So we'll go from negative 40 to 140 degrees within a 2-hour period, and we'll run that cycle over and over and over. And typically following those cycling or that cycling, we'll evaluate strength loss and structural stability and any deformation. Probably the more popular topic for this meeting is our fire testing. On the left, you'll see a picture of our Steiner tunnel. Anything that goes onto a wall or a ceiling has to comply with this method. It evaluates how fast a fire will spread across a product. We also monitor smoke capacity. Anyway, it's the most commonly, or it's the most referenced test method actually in the building code. On the right, we evaluate mattresses. The federal government enacted 16 CFR 1633 July 1st, 2007, which I've been a part of this testing even before it was federally adopted. But this is how your mattresses are evaluated, essentially to make sure that if you have a cell phone in your bed and it charges and the lithium-ion battery goes into thermal runaway, you actually have time to get out of the dwelling without causing flashover. On the left is one of our test chambers. It's a 30 by 30 room. It is negatively, or it has a negative pressure. So essentially our hood, which is right here, acts like a big vacuum cleaner. So it sucks everything out of this room into our ducting system, which I'll get into a little bit later. This is a picture of essentially what flashover looks like, which basically means that anything that can be on fire in a room is on fire. The good thing about doing these types of tests in a controlled environment is that we don't have any additional fuel contribution. So it's extremely easy to manage and extinguish. To the right, we are one of 2 laboratories actually in the world that evaluates battery energy storage systems. So I unfortunately can't disclose our clientele, but if you see store or a battery backup system for your garage or something to if your power goes out, that you have battery backup and your or your house still has electricity for 2 or 3 hours, that is what we're evaluating to make sure that the batteries utilized in those units are safe should a catastrophe with the cell chemistry happen. So this is a kind of a diagram of our current layout. Like I said, the collection hood is basically like a big vacuum cleaner. This is the fan that creates the negative pressure in the room. And then on the other side of it is positive pressure, which goes into our thermal oxidizer. A thermal oxidizer is basically, it does for air what if you're on well water or don't have any filtration or public water, you would need to boil your water to remove parasites, bacteria, viruses, that type of thing. Essentially, a thermal oxidizer does that for all of our contaminants caused by burning materials. It operates at 1550 degrees, has 99% VOC destruction. To the right, that table is just kind of a generic list of VOCs and their auto ignition temperatures. So for example, benzol ignites at 1031 degrees. We run our thermal oxidizer at 1550 degrees. Essentially, it incinerates that chemical in this process. To the left is the proposed configuration at 3160 Aerocourt. These are cinder block walls, which per the building code have a 4-hour rating. We will be using 2 layers of 5H gypsum, which is a 2-hour rating in the ceiling to contain all of the fire. And like I said, that room would be under negative pressure, so it will be drawing outside air inside instead of inside going out. The Steiner tunnel is completely enclosed and is also ducted to our thermal oxidizer. So here is a picture of the aircraft rescue and firefighting training facility on the south side of the airport. We see this essentially every Thursday morning from our building. This is a picture, and if you would like to see the video, I can actually show you this to you as well. Us running a ASTME 84, essentially having 0 visibility within our duct or 99% smoke. This was sustained for 2 minutes before or when we took this video, and immediately went outside, and this is the duct from our thermal oxidizer. The configuration in our current location is not ideal because we are not allowed to go out the roof of the building. So we had to duct it out the wall. Anyway, this is a table of our 2021 operations. If you go through all of this, the most important information is we're only conducting 26 minutes of fire testing a day on average. So we're not operating 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. We are only operating or conducting fire testing 26 minutes on average every single day. 2020, we experienced 103% year over growth. 2021, we experienced 150% growth. 2022, we're on track to do 200% growth. Majority of this growth is actually not accounted for or not projected to be at the 3160 Aerocourt facility. We have an offsite location in Barnesville that we conduct very, very large fire tests that would not be adequate for the city limits. We will be hiring engineers, technical staff in the very near future. And that pretty much concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Parkhurst. Are there any other proponents here to speak in favor of this zoning matter? Any other proponents here to speak in favor of this zoning matter? Hearing none and seeing none, are there any opponents here to speak against this zoning matter? Any opponents here to speak against this zoning matter? I see a hand from a Gabrielle McCall, and there was also a chat request from Ms. Ziegler. I do not see a hand. Is Ms. Ziegler on the phone? Or okay, I see a hand now. Okay, Gabrielle McCall, you are first, and then Ms. Ziegler, you would then come after Ms. McCall. Please state your first and last name and your current address. And remember, these are opponents to the zoning case.
Hi, my name is Gabrielle McHale. I'm at 1233 Winburn Drive in East Point. I oppose this. I actually first want to say that it seems like this is a really important industry, and the testing is very important. However, my concern is the location. Willingham Drive is supposed to be redeveloped. I was actually part of the redevelopment conversation. There's going to be parks where the Flint River is actually the headwaters are off of Willingham Drive. And so there's a very different future being imagined for this portion of East Point that doesn't involve heavy industrial. And so regardless of whether this is a safe industry or whether, you know, with smoke or whatever, I mean, honestly, to me, it's not what I want on Willingham Drive. I want Willingham Drive to look different. And I feel like there's a large group of people that are working to make a change on Willingham Drive. And this is just not going to be a part of that. So I would just urge you guys to consider that before you vote for this.
Thank you, Ms. McHale. Ms. Ziegler, you're next.
Hi, my name is Carrie Ziegler. I'm at 947 Parkside Terrace. And I'm speaking out because I'm concerned about the fire testing, because burning materials like plastic and things, it's worrisome because, you know, burning plastic creates certain chemicals that are hazardous to our health. And even if they use a filter, which filters out most of the emissions, or even, I don't know, like even if a small, very tiny amount gets emitted through what is it they're doing. I know that sounds really nitpicky, but the thing is that we live right next to a bunch of other industries that are also polluting, and having even more exposure to things that could be potentially hazardous to us, you know, it's not good. And you know, I'm kind of being selfish here. You know, I live within 6 miles of this facility, and the EPA has determined that a fence line community is a community that is within 6 miles of a particular industry or company that could potentially have ill effects from it. And when you think about how big of a area that is, that's a lot of East Point. It goes into College Park and Hateville as well. And the closest that a resident will live from this particular facility is 600 feet, and they're located in Egan Park. And you know, with the EPA, they're not really looking out for our health. The regulations are very outdated. They're not very strict. Trying to get them to change their regulations, it's nearly impossible. Additionally, once the company is here, it's really hard to catch them doing things that they shouldn't be doing. I know, you know, probably everybody here on this call knows about PVG and Meredith. They're supposedly within the EPA guidelines, but there's a lot of people who feel sick and they feel nauseous and things like that. And then if you piggybacking off of what Gabrielle was saying, you know, moving away from the environmental and public health concerns, Willingham Corridor is supposed to be redeveloped. And I believe that this is supposed to be in the town center. And so it doesn't really fit with that new vision of what Willingham is supposed to be. And also, you know, we're really close to the airport and major highways, and we, you know, we have a lot of potential here. We could really open ourselves up and attract a lot of other companies as well that will make our city vibrant and be a fun place to live, work, and play here. You know, I just don't see this particular company being a fit for that. I do admire the work that they do. I think it is very important work. It is very interesting. I like to nerd out on things like, you know, on when, how long can you sleep in your mattress before you die in it when it catches on fire? Like, that's kind of interesting. But I just don't want to live near a facility that that does that kind of testing. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Ziegler. Are there any other opponents here to speak against this zoning matter? Any other opponents here to speak against this zoning matter?
Yes.
Okay, could you please state your first and last name and your current address? Yes, the attendee at phone number ending in 3148. We cannot hear you. Okay. We cannot
Hello?
hear. Yes, we can hear you now. Would you please state your first and last name and your current address? Okay, there's obviously a bad connection there. If you can hear me, you may want to try to dial back in, but otherwise I'm going to have to move on to another speaker. If there are no other speakers, at this time, Mr. Parkhurst can use the balance of his time for rebuttal. So if you can put in the chat or do something to let us know that you would like to speak, I would like to honor that, but we cannot hear you and you're not on mute. So perhaps your connection is not strong and it's bad. We cannot hear you. Staff, is there any way that we may be able to reach out to this attendee? The phone number is posted obviously here so that we might be able to hear from this resident.
Sure, I'll give them a call.
Okay.
Two and a half hours.
Any luck, Ms. Solomon?
Yes. Hello,
Okay.
can you hear me?
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Can you all hear him?
Yes. Could you please state your first and last name and your current address?
Sure. My name is Keith. Last name is Theme, and I'm at 1760 Vesta Avenue in College Park. And I have some of the very same concerns that Ms. Ziegler and Ms. McCall have as well. And my biggest concern is I'm within 1.5 miles of this facility. And I have great concerns about that and just the redevelopment of that corridor and the headwaters of the Flint River. I just wanted to make my voice heard. Thank you.
Okay, could you please spell your last name?
Sure, it's Theme, T as in Tom, H-I, E as in Edward, M as in Mary, E as in Edward.
Okay. Ms. Alexander, did you get that? Okay, great. Thank you so much. At this time, are there any other opponents to speak against this zoning item? Any other opponents to speak against? Hearing none and seeing none, Mr. Parkhurst, you may use the balance of your time for rebuttal.
Thank you very much, and I greatly appreciate all of the comments and the rebuttals. completely understand their concern. When we purchased this property, we did not realize that it was going to, we didn't understand the improvement plans in the Willingham corridor initiative. We really want to fit in with that model. Within that plan, it does allow for light industrial use. We are currently operating in light industrial. As I mentioned before, we do have a significant budget to renovate the current building, and we have a couple of really fun things. For example, our afterburner and our stack, we sort of like to model it, like a restaurant brewery, that has a big vat outside, and anyway, just do a whole bunch of really fun stuff that I think that, gives us, or this initiative kind of gives us the opportunity to expand some of our creative ideas with the building. But our main plan is to renovate what I would consider a deteriorating building into something new. Thank you very much for your time again, and all of your comments.
Thank you, Mr. Parkhurst. Commissioners, at this time, I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Lovett, that we close the public hearing for 2022 U as an umbrella -001-03. All in favor sound aye.
Aye.
All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now closed. Staff, would you please sound your recommendation?
Chairman, in reference to case number 2022 U-001-03, property located at 3160 Aerocourt. This is a special use permit. The applicant, Scott Parkhurst, in the zoning. The current zoning is I2. Again, the applicant is seeking a special use permit to construct a research testing laboratory via retrofitting an existing building. This is a site plan of the property as presented by the applicant, and this is the zoning. The property is currently zoned I2. That the applicant and proposed use is actually a I1 light industrial use being considered under a special use permit process in the I1 light industrial district. So although the property is a heavy industrial zoning, the use is going to be light industrial as proposed. The future land use map states that this property is Town Center Sub Area 3, the Willingham Warehouse District. And some of those goals and intent of that district is for a mixed use infill existing industrial environment. Some of the goals is to maintain the industrial atmosphere and the gritty personality of the Willingham Drive, while also providing incentives for new development to make use of existing structures. And one of the other goals is to implement flexible zoning guidelines to allow for residential entertainment, commercial, live and work uses, among other uses stated in the goals. Staff is recommending approval with the following conditions. The first condition is the applicant shall provide an enhanced lighting plan and landscaping plan to be approved by the planning and community development staff or other appropriate staff, such as fire, building, public work, transportation engineer, and the city arborist, and also to provide an air quality study to staff as well. That concludes our recommendation.
Okay, thank you, Director Smith. Commissioners, we've heard from the applicant and we've also heard from the opposition, and we've heard the recommendation from staff. This is a special use permit. This body is not the final arbiter for this agenda item, and so the motion will need to be made in the form of a recommendation. And at this time, I'll entertain a motion. Commissioners, let us not all speak at once.
Mr. Chair, I actually just have a question for the staff recommendation before. Should I
I believe that we have to have a motion and a second to go into deliberation and debate and to ask questions about it.
Okay, because my motion, well,
You
okay.
can make a motion, you can make a motion for discussion. So you can make a motion to approve or to recommend approval or denial for discussion. And then we can go into, and we get a second, and then we can go into those questions and any other discussions that the commissioners may have.
Gotcha.
So commissioners, we are going to have to dispose of this agenda item. So again, at this time, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the request application contingent upon the conditions outlined by the director.
Okay.
Mr. Commissioner, I second.
Okay.
That motion, that if it meets the guidelines and requirements of this body, that we carry it over.
So just one second, Commissioner. So we have a motion on the floor to recommend approval made by Commissioner Fields with the conditions as stated by staff. That motion has been seconded by Commissioner Presley. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And now Commissioner McKnight, did you have a question of staff?
I do. So the air quality study should be required. So is there a minimum, like, do we need to be a little bit more specific on the air quality study? Like if the air quality study should, I don't know. I mean, just getting the study may come up saying it's a bad idea. You know what I mean? So, but they got the study. I was just wondering if we needed to say a little bit more right there to make it more specific.
I'll take any recommendations you may have.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to add on to that if I may.
Okay. So Commissioner Lovett may have something to add to that condition number 2. So you have the floor, Commissioner Lovett, and then we'll go to Commissioner Fields. Mark.
I would say with the type of business that it is, the air quality is going to change every time there is a test. There is no steady state to air quality when you have this kind of testing going on. So I think I'm challenging and I'm questioning, is that a fair statement?
You mean, is that a fair condition? Is that what you're saying?
I'm asking, is it possible to have an air quality study and it's just a one-time thing? Because every time you do a test, you're going to change the air quality.
Okay.
So how do you handle that?
Okay. If staff would like to respond to that.
Perhaps we could say air quality testing and monitoring.
But you got to state the frequency of it.
That's going to cost the city money. And what type of thresholds you're looking for.
Yeah, so that has to be developed a whole lot more. So you almost need a monitor of some sort to ensure that the quality meets the standard. And I have no idea what the standard is. And I don't know the frequency. Is it a daily standard? Is it a weekly standard? Is it following the Weather Channel's air quality control or the environmental guidelines? I don't know.
Okay.
But there's a measurement that should be followed.
Okay. So that was Commissioner Lovett. We've got Commissioner Fields. Mark.
Thank you. My question is, I'm just trying to get an understanding of what is the difference between light industrial and heavy industrial, and why would a special use permit be required for what in my mind it seems like a lower impact? I'm not quite understanding the difference. Thank you.
Light, the use, the laboratory testing is a use that is permitted in a light industrial area by a special use permit, and by the ordinance, anything that is allowed in I-1 is automatically allowed in I-2. But because it is allowed in I-1 as a special use permit, then it has to go through the special use permit process for I-2 as well.
Thank you. And that was a very good question, Commissioner Fields, Mark, on that, just so that everyone is aware, you're exactly correct to think along those lines. What is being proposed is a downgrade, if you will, or a lesser industrial use than what is allowed, but it even in I-1 would require a special use permit, and that's why we have to have this hearing for this I-2. My question would be this, with that, what are some of the uses? Can you just go over some of the uses for I-2? Because someone could come to apply for one of the uses in I-2 and not have to go before this body if it's an allowed use, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Commissioner Fields Joseph, can you adjust your camera, please? And so can you tell us some of the uses for what are the allowed uses for I-2?
Some of the allowed uses in I-2, some of the uses in I-2, heavy industrial, and
while you're looking for that, I will address this. Ms. Ziegler, I see your hand, but the public hearing is now closed. Residents are not able to speak during this portion of the meeting unless they have a very specific question asked by a specific commissioner. The reason that that is the case is because it would not be fair to either side, whether you are a proponent or opponent, to have the general public to continue to speak on items. That is why we do read the rules for our public hearings, and we do have a motion to open and close the public hearings. I want to acknowledge that you do have your hand raised, but however, you will not be able to speak unless there is a question from a commissioner specifically of you.
Chairman,
Yes,
may I speak?
you can, please.
In reference to I-2 heavy industrial permitted uses, the first use permitted in I-2 are all uses that are permitted in I-1. Some of the other ones are basic wood processing, including sawmill, planing, veneering, and laminating wood, exterminating facilities with a couple of requirements that go with it, heavy construction contractors, heavy repair and service trade shops are also permitted uses in I-2. Iron and steel fabrication plant for heavy casting, outdoor advertising services, repair services and trade shops, including sheet metal, upholstering, electrical, plumbing, and carpentry, sign painting, and other similar, tire treading, and recapping. Those are uses that are permitted by right in I-2 currently.
Okay, in addition to the I-1 uses as well, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so this is what I will say. It sounds like Mr. Parkhurst is aware of the Willingham Drive, Willingham Corridor study. And it also sounds like Mr. Parkhurst is aware of the general aesthetic and the impetus for the study and the development that we're trying to achieve along Willingham Drive. And we just had that presentation in last month, maybe. Mr. Park, and the reason I'm saying that is because Mr. Parker said that he had some really cool things that he wanted to do with his facility that would be in line with that. Well, I don't see those. And so I want to be very intentional about the work that we do here. And I want to be very intentional about those things that we try to encourage and bring to the city. And so my concern would be akin to the question that Commissioner Fields had. There are other uses that could be far more egregious and out of line with the Willingham Corridor study that would be allowed on this particular parcel. And so because I believe that Mr. Parkhurst, based on his assertion this evening, is familiar with this study and has these ideas, I think that I know that there is a motion to recommend approval, but I really, my suggestion to the commission is that we hold off on that and allow Mr. Parkhurst to present those things and condition the development based on those things. Because it doesn't make sense for us to go through this entire exercise of a study for this particular corridor and then approve things that are out of line with that study. And I don't have enough information. I don't think enough information was presented at this work session to see if the aesthetic and those things that he is proposing that he has to do at that site are in line with this. And so I would like to see more of that before this moves forward. But the motion on the floor is to recommend approval.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Fields, Mark.
May I have may I speak?
Yes, you have the floor.
Thank you. When the uses were on the screen, a real quick read, one of the things it said it could not be within, and I'm thinking it said 25 or almost 2,600 feet of a stream, water, waterway, something else it said in there. So I guess my question is, if the Willingham Corridor is going to be centered around the Flint River as our centerpiece, then how do we square that approval and continue on with this? I'm not understanding how those two are going to work together.
Very good question. So yes, Commissioner Director Smith.
Yes, Chairman Atkins, in reference to that question, the particular use that is being proposed is not under the requirement of the measurement guidelines from waterways or streams. So it's not impacted or required to be a certain distance away from a stream or a waterway in that manner.
Okay. Any other comments, questions, or concerns from the commission? Okay, hear none, say none. The motion on the floor is to recommend approval with the conditions as stated by staff. The motion was made by Commissioner Fields, second by Commissioner Presley. All in favor sound aye.
Aye.
All opposed sound nay.
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 Okay, we'll have to take a roll call vote. Staff, would you please sound roll call for the vote?
Commissioner Atkins.
Okay, I'll vote last in case of a tie.
Commissioner Miller.
Nay.
Commissioner Lovett.
Nay. Nay. Nay, I'm sorry. Nay.
Thank you. Commissioner Mark Fields.
Nay.
Commissioner Fan. Commissioner Presley.
Nay.
Commissioner McKnight.
Nay.
Commissioner Bryant. Commissioner Fields. Joseph.
Aye.
Nay.
He said aye.
Aye.
At 5 nay.
Okay, we have 5 nays and 1 yay.
Yes.
The motion fails. And so this body, now I'll need to entertain another motion. We still will need to dispose of the motion. At this time, commissioners, I entertain a motion. We need to dispose of the agenda item, I'm sorry. I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion for deferral to what month are we in? To our June meeting.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner McKnight, seconded by Commissioner Lovett, that we defer agenda item 2022 U as in umbrella -001-03 to our regularly scheduled June meeting. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Okay, hearing none, all in favor sound aye.
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 All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. This agenda item is deferred to June. Thank you, commissioners. And also thank you applicants for sticking with us in this long haul meeting. We now have announcements. Staff, are there any announcements that you have that's good for the body?
I have none.
Okay. And I have none for this evening. Commissioners, at this time, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Lovett, seconded by Commissioner Miller, that we adjourn this meeting. All in favor sound aye.
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 All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Good night.
Great weekend. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night.